go into haunted locations. We investigate ghosts.
So you see ghosts?
Sometimes. We take trips together to investigate.
Okay.
I said, let's go to where the O.J. Simpson murder case was.
Oh.
I took them to where Sharon Tate was murdered for the Manson family.
Before we go any further, are there any ghosts here?
No, I think we're good.
We're good, okay.
We're good.
Plaintiff Johnny Perotti claims his former friend offered him an all-expenses-paid trip to L.A. But he's the clown who wound up paying all the expenses. He's suing for $1,528. Defendant Peter John Robert claims the plaintiff added thousands in unexpected charges to their trip. He says he owes the plaintiff nothing.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. The Honorable Judge Jerry Springer now presiding. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Najee.
This is case number 014 on the docket, Perotti versus Robert.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge.
Welcome to both of you. We have the plaintiff, Johnny Perotti, and you are suing your friend, Peter John Robert. They call you PJ?
Correct.
Okay. You're suing him for $1,528 for unpaid trip expenses. Okay, go ahead.
I met PJ about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We were on a paranormal show together that's
On
online.
a paranormal show?
Paranormal show.
Oh,
It's called
okay.
Paranormal Crossroads Live. Basically, we go into haunted locations. We investigate ghosts, and it's live and interactive. You could actually type into us if you want us to ask an EVP question or tell us where to go or things of that nature.
So you see ghosts?
Sometimes.
Before we go any further, are there any here?
No, I think we're good.
We're good, okay.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay, good. Go ahead.
So basically, we have similar personalities. We hit it off real quick and
Good.
became really close friends.
Good.
They have a couple pictures that I gave to you guys.
Whoa.
That's the plane ride to Los Angeles.
Yeah, that.
As you can see, we're very close friends.
Yeah, well, you can't help but being close. Yeah.
Can't get any closer.
No, that's.
Okay, so that's the backstory. So the reason we're here today, I was in a movie called Clown Motel. I was cast in that as Hammy, one of the main killer clowns in the movie. I actually submitted a trailer to you guys for the movie as well.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Hello?
It's not adding up. We're the only ones here.
Then who's outside to do this?
If you want to make it, just say that one of us is in next. They're everywhere.
This is what's suing me.
You need a bigger hat.
Yeah, that's what they chose for me. I look a lot better right now, right?
Oh, yeah, honestly, gangbusters. Yeah. Anyway, so there's the film, and good. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that love these kind of, particularly
Yeah, it did
young
pretty
people.
well.
Yeah, I could see that.
So basically, there was a DVD release party that was going on in Los Angeles.
Yes.
He's from Buffalo, New York. I'm from Rochester, New York.
Oh, okay.
So they were doing the party. I had already went out for the premiere, the regular Hollywood premiere, all of that. So I had already been out there. I wasn't going to go to the DVD release.
Yeah.
I did not have the money to go at the time.
So you're saying that he talked you into going?
Yeah, he offered to pay for the entire trip in exchange for being able to go with me.
People paid to go with you on a flight?
I mean,
Why
his,
did he?
his main purpose was we're going to be doing a sequel that
I see.
pretty
That
soon,
was-
and he wanted a part in that and to network with different people that were involved in the film that would be at this party.
According to you, he offered to pay for you guys both to go out there, and then he was hoping he'd get a shot at being in the sequel to that to the movie.
So basically, he agreed to pay for the flight, everything, the rental car, gas, food,
For the whole trip.
the whole trip, because I wasn't going to be going at all. I didn't have any money to go on this
And
trip.
you told him flat out, you got to pay for everything because I don't have
Yeah.
any
Flat
money.
out, I don't have money, and I mean, I made it clear to Joe and the last
How
evidence I
long
wasn't
was
coming.
this trip going to go for?
Three or 4 days.
So when you thought he was going to pay for the whole trip, that would include not just the plane fare, but for the hotels, for the meals. You guys are going to go out drinking or whatever.
Yeah, basically, they had
And
planned
you
the way the
guys are going
party
to have
was.
meals, and you're going to have more meals.
Well, most of it, yeah, we definitely like to eat. The party was going to be at a mansion in Hacienda Heights where they were throwing the party, and we were actually going to be staying in a room in the mansion for 2 of the 3 nights, and there would be food and everything there.
Now, let me hear from you, PJ.
Like you said, we did meet 2 years ago. And again, we were on a paranormal team. I was on it, and then we brought him in onto this team. Him and I hit it off. We have a lot of common interests, and we're very similar. He did have a big break with a movie, and I was like very proud of him. I thought, this is awesome. And he tells me, I don't have money to cover it. I can't go. I'm like, this is a movie release party. This is it for you, man. Like, you need to be there.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'll pay, and I'll get the airline tickets. And I agreed to pay for the tickets, and then all of a sudden, a couple days go by, and he's like, oh, well, I paid for upgrades, and I didn't even know about these upgrades. And then I figured, since I covered that, he said, oh, well, the producers got this mansion that we're going to be staying at, all the other actors are staying at it, so I never saw any kind of bill. And he's like, well, I figured it was going to be comped because I thought it was a party, and I thought he invited everybody to this place that they rented, but I was unaware that I was paying for a mansion to stay in as well. Like, we could stay somewhere else.
Okay.
And honestly, we didn't really go over every detail. We were like excited about going to California for this big release party, and so we really didn't iron out like all the little fine print, like rent a car, parking, food, all that. We're like,
Sure,
we'll just get there.
There
We'll
was
get-
no written contract about who would pay for what.
Right,
I
so we're-
assume, is that right?
There was written messages back and forth, but at the end of this, he had blocked me on Facebook, so it deletes all of the messages between us.
And you're disagreeing with that?
Well,
or are
there's
you?
there's a little part that I also left out. After, part of this trip was also, we were looking to start our own show. Then we came into, let's start a production company. He thinks he's De Niro all of a sudden. So him and I had a clash on the show and this whole production thing. So him and I had a falling out. I blocked him, so everything was erased that we communicated with about a year
Got it.
prior.
But this all came after the trip that we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said, or are you saying that you agreed to pay for the plane tickets?
Yes.
Did you, in fact, pay for the plane tickets?
I gave him money in Rochester. We went to go to a shooting range, and there's no banks around, so I went to an ATM and took money out to give to
You
him.
decided to go to the shooting range before you went to the bank?
No, that was after.
Was
I
this
also-
for practice? What?
I
what
bought
were
some.
you-
I bought some firearms off of him also. So.
Oh,
The deal was, he was supposed to give me $350 in cash when we met, and $350 in cash when the trip was over, because he didn't have the cash.
and that
on
would
him.
make $700 for the 2 tickets.
But what happened was, when we met, he said he only had $200 cash on him, and he gave me $200 cash. That was it. That's the only money I've ever
Does
received.
that sound familiar? You gave him $200 in cash, and you would pay the rest later?
I thought for sure that I gave him more than that.
He tried to give me a card that wouldn't work. So we ended up using, I maxed out about 3 different credit cards for this entire trip, all of my own.
So here I have a question for you. If you, and it was a question when I read your complaint, when it came time to pay for the plane tickets, he said his credit card didn't work, so he gave you, at least initially, $200 in cash. But he may not have the money to be able to follow through this. You guys are thinking about flying to California for 4 days. It's not the cheapest place in the world. And if he doesn't have enough money to pay for the tickets,
He just said his card wasn't
well, then,
working.
in other words, at some point, you had a lot of time, because it was several weeks before you actually went, to say, wait a second, if we go to yourself, if I go on this trip with him, he doesn't really have all that money right now. I'm going to wind up paying for this thing.
He will always say he can't use his card. Can I book it under mine? And then he pays me. He's
But
paid
he
me.
does pay you.
Paid me
back.
every single
Okay,
time.
all right, that answers the
Like
question.
the first picture was from West Virginia. We take trips together to investigate.
Okay.
It all is under my
His
name. and he
track
pays
record
me.
then is pretty good. He
It's good.
normally pays you back.
Normally pays me every time.
Okay, you said the receipts are, what am I looking at with E here?
Exhibit E is the confirmation of the flight. D is the ticket price. E is the confirmation from
Okay,
JetBlue.
okay,
It's
here's
under
the
my
ticket.
name.
Well, I see. But yeah, so it's $350 a flight. And then for the upgrade,
Yeah, which I told him it wasn't an upgrade. The way JetBlue, well, I guess technically it's an upgrade, but the way JetBlue works, you have to pay to pick your seat. If you don't pick, they put you wherever. I said, if we don't pick, you may end up between 2 huge people too, and none of you are going to fit. it may be the same for me. If we pick our seats, at least we know it's that there's no first class in these. That was the first row of the plane.
I mean, if you're going to pick seats, why pick seats like you're like this?
That's the biggest seats they had. That's the
Oh.
first row.
All right, so I have here N. These are the charges. Airport parking, the mansion room 309, the flights 503. I guess that reflects the fact that he already paid you 200 for it.
Yep, I deducted
Okay.
200 off the total.
Well-
So when we went to LA,
Yeah.
like I said, I had been there a bunch of times. So basically, when we went there, if I had one on my own, by myself, the director would have picked me up. I would have stayed where I went for free. I wouldn't have had to drive anywhere in LA because he would have brought me wherever I had to go. We only had to rent a car because he wanted me to show him around LA. I said, let's go to where the O.J. Simpson murder case was.
Oh,
Check it out. I took him to where Sharon Tate was murdered for the Manson family to see the area. And I
okay, so
drove
here's
from
what
all
I
these
get from you
places.
guys so far. You are fascinated by the paranormal and ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
You buy guns and love going to murder scenes.
Right.
What's wrong with this picture?
I don't know,
Okay,
pretty good.
here's the thing. When you're on a 4-day road trip or whatever, a 4-day trip to another city, where you're going to be eating out, where you're going to be spending on gas, renting cars, doing all that kind of thing.
Well, we've hashed that out before, but
Well, it
we
didn't work this time.
But we weren't splitting it this time. That was the whole point of why we weren't splitting any costs.
Did you really believe that you were going to wind up paying for the whole thing?
No. I thought I was going to pay for the flight, and then I thought that the stay was going to be for free. And I was thinking, okay, we're going to have this big
Why
Hollywood
wouldn't the
party.
subject have come up? You didn't believe that you were paying for all this, and when you saw how much all this was costing, why did you believe that he would pay for half of it?
It's not that I thought he was paying for half. I thought that that mansion that we were staying at the entire time was going to be comped because he was an actor in that film. And I knew the other actors were staying in it. And he tells me this last minute that
They all had to pay to stay there too. Everybody did.
What do
But
you
I never saw any bill.
Yeah,
So
okay. What are your aspirations for? I mean, you want a future in movies and.
I did for a little bit. Like, it'd be cool to be in something, but I'm not like pursuing it like it's my dream.
I see.
You know, I started my own sauce business, so I'm really kind of whatever it is, what it is now.
What kind of sauce?
Like wing sauce, anything you throw on the grill. So Buffalo Sauce Company, I started.
Yeah.
this.
When we got back from that, he went on my Facebook through my friends. Friend requested almost every single person who was Hollywood involved. You could see he had requested the effects artist, and he says, hey PJ, what's up? Thanks for sending me the friend request. Do we have mutual friends? Hi Joe, yes, my friend Johnny who played Hammy. So he's networking with all the people from Hollywood off of my page, basically using my networking for himself. And that's why he agreed to pay and go there, so that he could get into Hollywood at the time.
Like I said, the reason for me going there was for him to network me anyway, and that never happened.
Here's what I think listening to both of you. It's clear he was the one that suggested you ought to be making this trip, etc. You made it clear that you couldn't really afford it, but you had also opportunities to realize that he wasn't going to be able to pay for it no matter what was said initially.
Like Exhibit M is a message between me and him, the only one I had. And
Here's what I
he
think.
says he wasn't responsible, and he says right here that he recalls being short, being able to pay me when we came back. So he owes me, like, he admits to owing me more of the money that he was supposed to pay.
Do you admit that you did say that you were going to pay for it? I mean,
There were
you know,
there
this
were
is-
definitely expenses that weren't talked over. It was, like I said, this was a big thing for both of us. I've always wanted to go to California, not even so much for the acting, but it wasn't really a well thought out trip. Like,
It wasn't
was like,
well thought
great,
out.
we're going. We'll figure it out when we get
But
there.
it really
and then we're like,
was-
oh, rent a cars, oh, parking, oh,
If
this.
I had the money, he would have never came. I would
Okay.
have went on my own.
Clearly, you, quote, invited him to go. It
Right.
was your idea.
Yes.
You were benefiting from it. So he did say in the beginning, I can't afford this.
Right.
But you two are friends. So in order to keep this friendship going, you probably should kick in something. I'm not telling you how to be a friend. You know that. But
We settled up other stuff after. Like we didn't talk for almost a year because of this. He blocked me on every subject. We were supposed to go into business together and make a production company. Now, I reached back out to him because, one, I wanted my money, and I wanted to try to reconcile the friendship going forward, but I don't feel that I should have had to pay anything because I would have never went on this trip. I made it very clear to the director I was not coming. He asked me the final day, I said, I'm not coming, I don't have the money. My radiator just broke, that's the last of the cash I have.
I will leave it up to you if you guys get to be back to be friends and it winds up costing you more than you intended. But this was your idea, and I think you just got to suck it up. I fine for the plaintiff in the sum of $1,528.
Appreciate it.
I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed. I can understand everything wasn't really panned out and talked over beforehand, but it is what it is. I get it.
I don't think PJ was being selfish necessarily. I mean, in that industry, you kind of have to make your own, you got to put yourself out there.
I feel like him and I have been talking a lot lately, so hopefully we can work things out and patch up our friendship. Yes.
Hey, YouTube, thanks for watching. For more Judge Jerry, click here. For more Jerry Springer, click here.